In the heart of Mexico City, a movement is gaining momentum, one that's shaking the streets of Roma Norte, Condesa, and beyond. What began as murmurs on social media has now exploded into protests, with local Mexicans rallying against what they call the silent invasion, American expats, and the gentrification they bring. So let's dive deep into what's really causing these protests. At the core of the unrest is a deepening housing crisis. Rents in popular Mexico City neighborhoods like Condesa, Roma, and Polanco have surged, in some cases doubling or tripling, pricing out local residents who have lived there for generations. And many place the blame squarely on an influx of American expats, often working remotely on US salaries, who've moved in since the pandemic-era shift to remote work. To locals, it feels like a modern colonization, not by force, but by economics. Most of the protests are concentrated in Roma and Condesa neighborhoods, once known for their artistic charm and affordability. Today, they're buzzing with English-speaking cafes, co-working hubs, and rising prices. These areas have become ground zero for tensions between locals and foreigners. Once filled with family-owned bakeries, bustling street vendors, and murals telling the stories of local life, Roma Norte and Condesa are now dotted with trendy brunch spots, boutique fitness studios, and artisanal coffee shops, many catering to an international crowd. Long-time residents walk past storefronts that now advertise in English, and familiar faces are replaced by a steady stream of newcomers. The local tianguis, traditional street markets, struggle to compete with organic grocery stores and imported goods. For some, these changes signal opportunity and growth. For others, they represent a loss of culture, identity, and belonging. For many locals, the city's soul feels like it's slipping away. The rhythms of daily life, once shaped by shared history and community ties, are being rewritten by new rhythms, new languages, and new expectations. This evolving landscape sets the stage for the next wave of cultural clashes, where not just the price of rent, but the very character of the neighborhood hangs in the balance. This didn't happen overnight. 8 months ago, Channel 5 Mexico released a viral video documenting the quiet tension building around gentrification in the city. Interviews with longtime residents warned of a cultural and economic displacement. At the time, few in the mainstream media paid attention, but the signs were clear. In hindsight, that video now looks like a warning flare, and today, the spark has ignited into open resistance. The irony isn't lost on many. In the United States, protests regularly erupt against ICE immigration and customs enforcement, with people demanding better treatment for Mexican and Central American migrants. Yet in Mexico, locals say they're watching a double standard unfold. Some protesters have pointed out the hypocrisy, highlighting how Mexican migrants in the US are criminalized, while American migrants in Mexico are celebrated as adventurous digital nomads. Though most demonstrations have been peaceful, there have been some targeted acts of vandalism. In late June, at least 5 cafes and Airbnb-managed properties believed to be US-owned were spray-painted with slogans like "Yankees out" and "This is not your playground." One cafe in Roma was forced to temporarily shut down after a heated confrontation with protesters. Police have made few arrests, and many businesses are treading cautiously, unsure of how to respond without inflaming tensions. Protesters have laid out clear demands. Chief among them, tighter regulations on Airbnb and short-term rentals, rent caps to protect low-income families, legal protections for tenants facing eviction, cultural preservation initiatives to stop the Americanization of historic neighborhoods, and a push for the Mexican government to investigate tax avoidance by foreign residents. It's not about hatred of Americans, protesters insist. It's about protecting Mexican identity, affordability, and sovereignty. Let's look at the numbers. There are an estimated 1.6 million US citizens currently living in Mexico, the largest population of US expats anywhere in the world. Most are in Mexico legally, but a significant portion operate in a gray area, overstaying tourist visas or working remotely without proper permits. In contrast, the US is home to roughly 11 million undocumented Mexican immigrants, plus another 30+ million US residents of Mexican descent. Millions more have temporary or legal work permits, DACA status, or green cards. The disparity in legal status and cultural perception is part of what fuels the resentment. Let's take a step back. Not all impacts of cross-border migration are negative. For Mexico, American expats bring foreign currency, helping local tourism and businesses, especially in beach towns like Tulum, Puerto Vallarta, and Mexico City's upscale districts. US dollars stretch far here, and many locals have benefited from job creation in hospitality, real estate, and tech sectors. Meanwhile, Mexican immigrants in the US send back over $63 billion in remittances annually, making it one of Mexico's top sources of foreign income. These funds support rural communities, pay for housing, education, and basic needs. But the cons are real. For Mexico, rising rents and cost of living cultural erasure in key urban zones. Uneven development favoring tourist zones for the US. Contentious immigration debates. Labor exploitation of undocumented workers. Strains on local services in under-resourced areas. Ultimately, both countries are grappling with how to balance openness with fairness, how to welcome others without losing themselves. As Mexico grapples with its identity in the face of globalization and economic inequality, the protests against gentrification are more than just about real estate. They're a warning that hospitality must come with respect and that even paradise has limits.